Aspect 3, release. The third key is your release and pop. The release and pop happens right as you leave the lip of the jump. Ideally, you want that board to leave in a straight direction, although in reality it'll already be starting to rotate, as you'll see here with larger spins. The release of pop is easy. Tall on the run-in, transferring to lowest with your knees through the setup point, and resisting against the lip, transferring back to a full extension of the last moment. Releasing your spin takes lots of practice, and timing is the critical element. As you pass the setup point, that's where you begin to wind up for the spin. And just before leaving the lip of the jump is where you release your rotation. There should not be a paused moment between when you finish winding up to when you release. As soon as you reach your wound up position, release it into your spin. This is happening at the very last moment as you're launching out. In reality, lots of snowboarders wind up and release too early. If you're having trouble spinning larger amounts of rotation like 5s and 7s, then try delaying your wind up and release until you're closer to the lip. Release happens first with the arms and shoulders, creating tension through your spine between the upper and lower body. Then power comes as you follow through with the hips, knees and board. As you're in the air, keep your core tight so the upper and lower body are connected and rotating at the same speed. When you see a messy spin, it's often because the upper and lower body are rotating separately. If your body is tight and compact, you'll spin more easily with large rotations. The amount of tension you create is important. The more tension you create, the faster you will spin. If you're hitting a small jump like 10 foot and you're spinning a 360, do you need much tension? Yes, quite a bit. What about doing a 360 on a large jump like 40 foot? No, not so much. But if we want to do a 720 on the same 40 foot jump, then considerably more tension needs to be created than for the 360. The more you want to spin, the more tension you need to create and release. And large jumps need less tension than smaller ones. Release direction is important for staying balanced. Your arms and shoulders can release either in a horizontal direction around the body, a diagonally down direction, or a diagonally up direction. What happens if you release in a diagonal direction by mistake? You end up doing a corked spin. With backside, it's easy to spin diagonally down by mistake. And with frontside, it's very common to spin diagonally up. When learning 3s, 5s and 7s, try to release horizontally around the body before learning to cork them. Aspect 4, landing. Spotting the landing allows you to easily stomp with style and helps you to stop your rotation heading in the correct direction. It's very important, but doesn't matter at all until you've been working on the first 3 aspects and are starting to get the hang of spinning in the air. Make sure you watch the videos on 180s and 360s first, so you already know where to spot the landings for these tricks. When you first learn to spin, you'll almost always become a little disorientated and be like, whoa, what happened? You probably won't be able to spot your landing at first, but as you do them more and more and become comfortable with other aspects of spinning, your landing will start to come easily into view, even with large spins like 720s. What's the easiest spin? A frontside 180. Why? It's easy to spot your landing. Jump a front one on the ground right now. Your head doesn't even move. A back one is slightly harder. Watch this and do it with me. It's called a blind landing, where you stomp the spin looking uphill. After landing, turn your head towards your new direction of travel. The only reason for a blind landing is to help you stop your rotation. It allows you to land clean and helps avoid over-rotating or reverting. A back 3 has an open landing. Try jumping it on the ground. Your landing will come into view just after you've spun the first 180, and it's easy to stop your rotation while looking forwards. A backside 540 is like a back 3 with another back 1 added on the end, so it also incorporates a blind landing. Your landing comes into view at the same point as when doing a back 3, so you can spot it early. Stomp it down switch, and after landing your head turns into your new direction of travel. Back 7 is open like a back 3. It's more difficult because the open landing doesn't come into view until after you've already spun a 540. Each added 180 keeps alternating between blind and open landings. With switch backside spins, you spot the landings in the same way as backside. With frontside, a front 1 has an open landing. Front 3s are like doing a front 1 with a switch back 1 added to the end, so it uses a blind landing. This is a commonly misunderstood trick in snowboarding, and many riders find it difficult to cleanly land front 3s when learning them. Front 5s are open. Spot the landing after 360 degrees and rotate the last 180 like stomping a front 1. Front 7s are blind like front 3s. With switch frontside, aka cab spins, you spot the landing in the same position as frontside spins. This video isn't designed to teach you any one particular trick. It's to provide you an outline of the most important aspects with regards to spinning 3s, 5s, and 7s. The first key was how to create a solid platform to spin from. Pick where you're going to drop in from. Do one setup turn and make a platform on the way up the lip, leaving in a straight direction. Second aspect talks about the significance of a setup point, the area of flat ground between the downhill run-in and the uphill lip of the jump. This tells you approximately where to transfer from your setup turn to a platform. It's also where you're lowest with your knees and begin to wind up for your spin. Thirdly, we discussed release, which happens both with rotation and pop at the very last moment as you leave the lip. The amount of tension you need to create when releasing depends on the size of the jump and how much you want to spin. Remember to release in a horizontal direction around the body while learning new spins. The fourth key showed where to spot your landings for different spins. We discovered that half of all spins are landed blind, which is a difficult concept to master at first. Spotting your landing properly allows you to stomp down with style, so you can easily ride away into the next feature. If you're learning to spin switch, you can get a clear visual aid by watching the opposite version of this video. The 4 key principles are exactly the same for spinning switch. This is Nev Lapwood, snowboardaddiction.com. Feed your addiction.